Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this opportunity to present my thoughts to you. Before I begin, I would like to find out how many of you here in the audience do not want peace, do not want global peace. Please raise your hands. Right. Everywhere I've spoken, every audience, none of them have raised a hand. That means 100% of the people in this world want global peace. But there are some individuals, organizations, or nations that don't want peace, and that's why we are in a situation where there is so many conflicts going on all over the world. Conflicts and poverty are two challenges in the contemporary era. We need to focus on these two items, and you will find that we will be addressing the solution. Conflicts cause poverty, and poverty can cause conflicts. Okay, so since 2008 till 2014, a matter of 6 years, 111 countries fell out of peace and drifted into real difficult times. That is almost over 54% of all countries in the world. And more countries are now drifting away from peace. Some conflicts are old and some conflicts are new. The world leaders and institutions have not been able to prevent or stop conflicts. It is not easy for world leaders and institutions to deal with these problems that are rising on a monumental scale. There are disasters as well as conflicts, and they need the support and cooperation of civil society, of private sector, and also global citizens. Without this sort of support, United Nations on its own or world leaders cannot achieve peace or harmony in this world. We are experiencing more frequent disasters, more conflicts, and we are having a massive turmoil in the way we work and we operate in our life. No one institution or nation can solve these problems on their own. This responsibility is collective, and so must be our actions. This is why the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy is playing an extremely important role to promote and address the ways to achieve peace and harmony. For cooperation from the citizens and private sector, we need to be aware and be assured that the world leaders and the institutions will be aware of the existence of human rights, security, welfare, and justice. If we people, the global citizens, see that the world leaders are not practicing justice, are not practicing human rights, we will find it difficult to cooperate with them. Disasters are affecting more than 200 million people a year. And at this point in time, 65 million people are either displaced or are refugees. We are in the midst of the greatest humanitarian crisis of our lifetime. And it is affecting people, uh, i- uh, children and women more. At least 1 in 5 displaced women and girls are victims of sexual violence. And the victims, those girls and women who have been helpless and men have taken advantage of the situation, they say, the victims say, we need a decent life and dignity. This is those women, 1 in 5 women who have suffered this sexual violence are saying. And girls are saying, we just want to be able to go to school and live in peace without having guns pointed at us. That is all we want. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to now focus. We are comfortable in our ways, in our life, the way we are treated by society. You know, these refugees, the victims of this violence, they were very respectable people. They were well off. They were in their own nations living a normal life. And suddenly, to run away from wars and fighting for the sake of safety, they and their families had to run away overnight without anything. And these are innocent human beings. These are through innocent human beings, through no fault of their own, have had to flee from areas that they loved and the areas that they knew. These are the refugees. They are not a special new class of species. These are like people like us. And remember one thing I must tell you. These children at the moment who are suffering from all the hassles they are getting from the war and whatever sufferings they are experiencing, these children will remain uneducated. And now I'm going to explain how. Because these children do not go to school because the parents don't send them to school. Because they think that if they send them to school, they may not come back alive in the afternoon. So they are not sent to school. If they go to school, they are so hungry, they are cold, they've had nightmares, they haven't had sleep, they go there and they cannot concentrate. So they are not getting the education they need. 250 million children are trapped in conflicts. Just in Syria, 6 million children are affected, and out of whom 2 million are were in difficult to reach areas, and 500,000 were under siege for as long as 2 years. Now, these children, when they grow up uneducated, with that anger within them against the authority, they will not allow anyone to live in peace all over the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is our duty now to make sure that the wars and conflicts stop and stop now. And I'm so thankful to God that Syria has almost stopped. With Turkey, Iran, and Russia joining up, I'm in very close touch with exactly what is going on at all levels, and United Nations has endorsed it. So, at the moment, the war and conflicts in Syria stopped on the 30th of December. That is one. Second, all the conflicts in Cyprus, where there was the Turkish side and there was the Greek side, that also is being handled by the United Nations at this point in time, only yesterday. So, we are hoping that with the efforts of the new United Nations Secretary General, we are going to be able to achieve peace and a long-lasting peace. So what happens? What is the cause? What are the causes of conflicts and war? And I'm going to be very brief here because I want to cover it in a very short time. The first one is territorial insecurity. So some nations, they feel very insecure about being attacked by other nations. So what they do is they join up with other nations who then fight against a common enemy. And that is to save their own nation. This is what happens. This also causes a lot of conflicts. Then there are other nations who like to expand, neo-colonialism. They want to go and get more land and more territories. So they try and cause conflicts and go into those other nations and try to become masters there. Then there are religious differences, and you have to remember that Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism share a lot more in common than is commonly believed. All religious people are good people, and all religions teach people to be good. It is those few who exploit religion for their political reasons and give a bad name to religion. But all those who practice religion, we have respect for them. So religious differences can cause conflicts because some people will use political reasons to do that, not because of religious differences per se. Then there is tribal differences. Like there was a genocide in Rwanda, millions were killed just because they belong to another tribe. So tribal differences, political ambition. Some leaders are very ambitious, so they don't care about the country. And this is what I'm noticing a lot, where the leader is elected, he cares or she cares more about himself and his cronies rather than the nation itself, for which they have been elected to serve. So therefore their political ambitions cause conflict, divide and rule, and start to take over power. So that causes conflicts. Then oppression. Some people like to oppress the weak, the ones who don't have a voice, the ones who can't retaliate. They oppress them. Injustice, where there is no moral values or culture values, then people can become unjust, and they suppress those people who cannot retaliate. Poverty, unemployment, and poor. When there is poverty, then people are very, you find people become hungry, and they have got certain ways of going about dealing with that. They become frustrated when there is no solution to their hunger. They become aggressive. They take it out on their families and ultimately on the government. So I think what we have done is we have covered some of this, but I have to move fast. One important thing was the acquisition of minerals, oils, for which some of the nations would cause conflicts in other nations, and discrimination as well. Right. To just talking about different problems and not talking about strategies is like treating all the conflicts like a talk shop, where we come in, have coffee, have good meals, and say hello to each other, and that's it. No, we believe that there should be action. So we have talked about strategies to address the problems of conflicts. One is that when you want to solve the problem of conflict, you have to get the political leaders, the powerful interests, and ordinary people to come together right at the outset when the conflict is identified, and then bring about reconciliation. And ordinary people are very important for being included in the reconciliation process. And this reconciliation or process is to be implemented right at the outset without vetoes being used, because vetoes will be counterproductive. People will play games without realizing what effect it has on what they are doing. And for those territories which have got insecurity, that has to be identified and to work on those very quickly so that they don't feel insecure. Now, to bring about understanding and prevent conflicts, we need to educate children in moral values, cultural values, in their own religion and the religions of other people, as well as cultural and traditions of some of theirs and the other people's cultures and traditions, and if they can have exchange visits through schools, this would be a great help. So I think I will have to stop there because Mark has told me time is up, but I'm grateful to you for listening to me. Thank you.